Alright, so this is a completely different kind of video than most of my videos. Not actually, I mean it is COPS, but it's not quite COPS. So there's 24 guns currently in the game, and I haven't really seen anybody make a Tiermaker list on Critical Ops guns, so I'm going to be doing it, and it's kind of hard to do this because, you know, there's pistols and ARs and shotguns, and they all have like different roles, snipers. So I'm just going to kind of go from, you know, the critical guns of the S tiers, and then the lesser guns, which, you know, can get you some kills or not, and I'm going to try to explain everything as I go along, why I chose each one in each class, and we'll kind of see how it goes. I mean, it could be good, it could be bad, I don't really know. Yeah, if you guys like this kind of idea, I'll do it maybe for maps or something else, and maybe teams. I can do teams in the past and present. You know, there's a whole lot of things I can do with this, so let me know if you guys want to see more things like this in the future, and yeah, let's get right into it. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, just so it's a little bit easier to see. I'm going to start out, well, just doing D tier, I think. Well, I mean, we don't have any, you know, exact way of doing this, so I'm just going to kind of go through and see how it is, and I don't even know. I haven't even thought about this. I'm literally just going in and doing this, like, literally doing it live, so I don't know what I'm going to be doing in each class, but let's start with the MP5. This is for sure going to go in the D tier. I just don't see it as a good gun. It's so inconsistent, and MP5 SMG, not it. MPX, again, it's not the best SMG, but I'm going to put it in C tier. I think it's got potential to be a decent kind of gun. Unfortunately, it's not as good as it could be. Maybe a little bit more damage or a little bit more range, and it would be a pretty good gun, but the recoil is not terrible. I think it's a little bit more damage than the MP5, which is why it's above MP5, but it's not much better. And in terms of a full buy, you don't want this kind of gun. In terms of eco, maybe, but you would rather probably buy a pistol to save your money. So yeah, that's my theory behind that. The FP6 shotgun, this is an interesting one. I'm actually going to put this up in B tier. Now, before you guys, you know, start typing, oh, that's not a B tier gun, it kind of is, in my opinion. I mean, it's a one-shot, one kill if you're close enough. And you could easily eco, sit in a single angle, and kill 2 or 3 people with it without dying. And I almost think it could go in an A tier. But I'm going to put it in B just so that way it's like, you know, obviously it doesn't have range, there's better guns than it, but it can be good and effective. I think even all the shotguns could just be in B tier, so I'm actually going to put Super 90 in there as well. Even though Super 90 can be a little bit more rangy, it's also a little bit worse in close range, just because sometimes it's 2-shot in close range, but it does shoot very fast, so even if you hit them once and then they're not dead, you can hit them again real quick. There's not too much of a difference between it, but I'm going to put that there as well, and then we're going to, of course, put the last shotgun in there as well, just so that way they're all kind of the same. Maybe it's a little bit worse than FP6, so maybe it'd be in C tier, but I'm just going to leave it in B tier for now because it's hard to distinguish each one of these. And Super 90 could go up. I'm going to put it, like, you know, there, but I'm actually going to put it above the FP6, but, you know, we'll put it like that. Moving on. MR96. In the old days, I would put this in A, maybe even S tier. I'm going to put it down in C tier now. It's not good anymore. It's a 3-shot to the body. It shoots really slow. If it was a 2-shot still to the body, I would put it up in A tier, but the fact that it's, you know, 3-shot is terrible. Of course, it's still 1-shot to the head, but it doesn't shoot fast enough for me to put it any higher than that. It doesn't make any sense to me to put it any higher as well. P90. I'm going to put that in B tier. I'm going to put it above the shotguns, just because, can I do that? Hello? There we go. I'll just do it that way, and I think it's you know, a good gun. You could use it in full buy rounds and get away with it. It has a lot of ammo. The damage isn't amazing, but it has a lot of ammo, which makes up for it, and the fire rate's pretty good. So I think it's where it should be. You know, it's right in the middle. It's balanced. You can use it and be very good. You can use it and be pretty bad. You know, it just depends. I guess sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Also in eco rounds, it's really good. If the other team's eco and you know they're eco, it's a great gun to use just to farm some kills. But other than that, it's not amazing, it's not terrible. So right in the B tier. Moving on, oh goodness. AK and M4. AK S tier. I don't think it's the best gun, but it is, you know, really effective, and it's hard to say that any of the ARs are not S tier or A tier just because they're really effective at close range, they're really effective at long range. You know, 4 shots with an AK to the body kills them. I think even 3, maybe? I don't know 100% about that. I'd have to like check the stats again, and I don't really have time to go through that because I want to get a video out tomorrow. And so yeah, I'm gonna put that as S tier. Obviously, 1 tap to the head will kill him unless it's like Kevlar and super far away. Then sometimes it's 2 shot to the head, but basically a headshot kills him automatically, I think. And it's not the easiest recoil pattern to follow, but it's still pretty good, and I believe sometimes 3 shots to the body can kill him. So it's obviously, you guys know AK. AK is probably one of the best guns to use. M4, I'm going to put in the A tier. I'm not putting it S tier, even though it can be an S tier weapon. I think it's very similar to the AK damage-wise, but it can be 4 shots to the body instead of 3 sometimes, and the headshot, it's not always a 1 shot to the head, so that's one of the problems with it. And I don't know, it just, whilst the recoil is better than the AK, it's so much easier to control an M4 recoil than an AK. I just don't see it being the best, you know. It's hard to put it at an S tier when it's, you know, there's better guns than it, is basically what I'm saying. It's good, but there's better guns. Dualies. I'm not putting this in the bottom. I'm actually going to put it above the MP5, just because it can be alright, but it's just not that effective right now. I mean, close range, okay sometimes, but you know, there's better guns than it. Let's just put it that way. I mean, fire rate's not bad, and if I put the rev above it, it's kind of hard to say. You know, dualies, it might be like top of the D tier, but it's not much better than that. Okay, moving on to TRG. This is going to be a controversial one. And personally, this is my opinion. It's an A tier. I know a lot of you guys are right now typing, TRG is not A tier, but hear me out. If you're eco, your entire team has like revs or deagles, and say you're playing canals on cross, you hit 3 people tags, you don't even have to headshot them, just hit tags, that's 3 people that are 1 shot to a deag or rev. It's so effective. It's so good, and like 1 person with an SMG on A site, say you tag 3 people crossing canals to A site, and then you have a teammate with an SMG. That's basically 3 free kills, and you know, you have a great chance at winning the round. You could even hit a headshot and get an actual kill with it. I think it's a really effective gun. Sometimes it can be hard to use, but it's a lot better than people think, in my opinion. And some people do like it and use it, like I do sometimes in ecos, but some people are like, if you use it, some people are like, oh, you're throwing, it's bad. But I see it as an A tier gun. That's just my opinion. It's got range. Close range, maybe not so great, but you know, it can still get a nice headshot or no scope or something. But yeah, that's my opinion. I'd love to see where you guys would put TRG in the comments down below. Moving on to XD, I have to put this one below an MP5. I think it might be the worst gun in the game. Honestly, it's just, the range is terrible. You have to be literally standing on top of somebody for it to be effective. And even at that, I can tell you, for example, one time I was playing on canals, very, very close range on A site, hit somebody in the head twice, 2 headshots, didn't kill him, and then I got killed because of it. It's terrible, and it was 100% headshots. Like, I wish I was recording it because it's sad. It's really bad gun. No good damage, no range, not even the best fire rate, to be honest. You know, SMGs are better than it. Don't buy that gun, in my opinion. Moving on, we have SA. I don't know where to put an SA. I mean, it's not good enough for A tier, but I think it's probably the top gun in B tier. If not the top gun, then it would be like the second top. It's pretty effective, and eco rounds is actually less than a lot of guns, and I think that's why it's very effective. Even though I did put the TRG in A class or A tier, so I think it's very similar to the TRG. TRG is obviously going to be like the bottom of the A tiers, but I think SA will be the top of the B. And it's hard to say because like SA can be in the A tier, but I personally just want to put it in the B tier for now. I mean, obviously if there's a little bit of a buff and say it does more damage or it's more consistent with the burst, sometimes it's just really inconsistent. You can shoot a person with an entire burst and it won't kill them. Other times you can shoot them and it'll be 1 burst and they're dead. So it depends. Again, it's really iffy, I guess, but I would put it in a B tier. I think it's pretty effective. And another thing to note is a lot of these guns, in between them, there's not too much of a difference. Like, you can use an XD or an AK and still be really close. I think I should put that out there because it's kind of true. Anyways, AUG. Right now, the AUG is above the AK. And in this list, as of right now, it's the best gun. Of course, I have like 8 more guns, 10 more guns to go to, but right now on this list, I'm putting it at number 1. it's so good. It's got a silencer, so people won't know where you're shooting from. I think it's 3 shot to the body, 1 tap to the head. It's really effective gun right now, and the recoil is not even that bad. It's not impossible, or it's not like terrible. It's not amazing, but it's a pretty good recoil pattern, and it's easy to learn. It's in between an M4 and an AK recoil pattern. So I think it's a really effective gun, and I think it might be the best AR. Unfortunately, it's a little bit overpriced. Well, not overpriced, but it costs a little bit more. It's like 600 more than an AK. And obviously you can only buy it on CT, which is another disadvantage, but it's still pretty good. Okay, SVD. I don't know where to put this one. I'm going to put it in B. I'm going to put it right there in B. Personally, I don't like it that much. Obviously, it's a one-shot most of the time. There's a couple times where you can get a tag with it, a hit marker, and they'll be like under 10 HP. And, you know, but it doesn't feel great when I use it. It's got a lot of recoil, it like shoots back, and it just feels like it's really inconsistent. Some people use it and are really good with it, and I think if you're really good with it, it could be possible A or even an S tier. But for me, I'm not very good with it, and that's why I'm ranking it so low, obviously. That's just my opinion. I think that's somewhat fair. And yeah, GSR. This probably is the best. I don't know if I'd say it's the best pistol, but it's going to be in B tier. And I'm even going to put it above one of the shotguns. The, the M1, whatever that shotgun is. That shotgun is probably the worst of the 3, and it does the least damage. So I'm going to put GSR there. I think the silencer helps it out a ton. If you're on an eco round, you can literally just go in a corner, they don't check you, and then, 3 people walk past you, you can shoot them in the back. Kind of effective, kind of good. The silencer makes it, I think, a lot better. And it can one-tap, so I think that's why it's pretty good. It has decent range. It's probably the best, maybe not the best. I think Deagle's better, and I'm actually going to rank the Deagle right now, which I'm going to put at the top of B tier, above SA. I think Deagle is the best pistol. You can use it. You can 2-shot somebody in the body. It's got a pretty good fire rate. Shoots pretty quick. You can get 2 shots off by the time you can shoot 4 AK shots, I think. So it's pretty good. I mean, if I put them side by side, probably would be. And it can one shot to the head. Very, very effective gun. Low price, only 700 for the Deagle, and it can do just about everything an AK can. So I personally am actually, I know what, I'm gonna put an A tier. Putting it right up below, I'm gonna put it above Tier G, because Tier G is the worst in A tier. I'm gonna put it right there with Deagle, Deagle and Tier G, very similar guns. Obviously Deagle's gonna be better in close range, and Tier G might be a little bit better in farther range, so you can maybe hit a headshot easier with the scope. But they're very similar in my opinion. I think they can be both in A tier. I really do, and it's hard to put them there because I didn't even put the burst there or the SVT, but I think they're better than them, honestly. I mean, just my thought process. Ooh, this is an interesting one. MP7. I'm gonna put this right above SVD, I think. I think it's my favorite SMG, and I think it's definitely, if it's not the best, you know what, we'll put it right below SVD, because some people do like SVD, and I'm going to try and keep a neutral opinion, even though I don't like SVD that much. I think I got to put it right there. It's not the best. I think the Vector is probably the best SMG, but it's pretty effective. It's low priced. You can get some extra money when you kill somebody with it, and it's not the best range, but it's good mid to close range, and I think it can be pretty effective. Even on full buys, if you're a little bit less money and your teammates all have AKs, you can just, buy Kevlar, you can buy that, and then full nades, and you're set, versus if you just buy Kevlar and an AK, you might not have the utility behind it. So it's very, I think it's very good in CT, especially holding close angles, so that's why it's effective. The good old E ratio. S tier, right now, second best. It's, most effective sniper in my opinion, 1 shot, 1 kill. Fire rate's not amazing, obviously it's not a semi-automatic gun or something like that, but it's still pretty damn good, and it gets the job done most of the time. Everybody wants to be the main sniper, everybody wants to be the best with it, everybody wants to be flashy, but I think a true good AWPer deserves some praise, and the gun as well deserves to be an S tier. M14. I'm gonna put this in the middle of B tier. To me, it's not an amazing gun anymore. It used to be pretty good, until the SVD came in and the SVD was better. It's still pretty good. It's got decent fire rate and it's pretty accurate. It's not like the, you know, SVD where you got a lot of recoil, but the fact that SVD is one shot and your the M14 is two shots makes the SVD a little bit better. And I'm going to put it below SMGs because I think those SMGs can be better in most situations. And the M14 is very few situations where I would ever use it in a comp game. And that would be if we're up like 11-0 on a CT side and 4 people buy an M14 and just sit on a cross and just start spraying through a smoke or something like that. Be the only time we really use M14. Otherwise, it's not a great gun. So you know what? I'm even gonna put it lower. I'm gonna put it bottom of B tier, just because it's not it. I almost want to put it in C tier, but it's kind of hard to put it that low. SVD or not SVD, SG, God tier. I'm gonna put it above AK right now too. Obviously the AK is pretty good. The SG is just like the big brother of the AK. It's just a little bit more damage, a little bit less recoil. Always a one shot to the head, I think. Unless you're super far away, maybe it won't be, but I think it still is even at that. And I think it's just a better gun in general. So definitely put an SG there. It's not quite the AUG. I think the silencer makes the AUG better, and it has a little bit less recoil, I want to say the AUG does. I don't 100% know, but... And put it right behind the U ratio. I think it's pretty fair. Self-explanatory, really. And it's actually cheaper than the AUG, which almost makes me want to put it above. But you can't buy it on CT, so it's a pretty good gun. Put it that way. P250. I'm actually going to put it right above the MR, just because the MR, with, you know, the last change to it, made it so bad. I mean, going from 2-shot to 3-shot, it just isn't it. I'd rather buy P2 with Kevlar and a pistol round than a Rev. So, yeah, that's that. The Vector. I should really put this in C class, but because I put all these SMGs so high, I'm going to put it right there, right above the other SMGs. I think it's just there, you know, it's in the middle. It's not amazing, it's not that useful, it doesn't have the best range, but it's definitely the best of the SMGs. And I mean, compared to the top 3 in the B class could even be A class guns, you know, and I think the bottom 2 of the B class could even be in the C class. So, you know, this could be down here, same with this M14 could be down in C class, and then, you know, your Vector, your SA, and your SVD could all be in A tier. But that's just my opinions, and you guys can have your own. Last but not least, though, is the HK, and this is going in S tier. It's going to be the lowest of my S tiers, and I'm going to try to explain this as easily and as best as I can. HK, good gun. 3 shots to the body, 1 shot to the head. Really, really good range, little recoil. A little bit more expensive than an AK, and that's why it's below. AK can pretty much do everything, just HK is more like, oh, no recoil. It's like, if you can't control your recoil, use the HK and it's so good. But if you can, use the AK because it's cheaper and it's somewhat more effective. That's just my thinking behind it, simply because it's cheaper and it's almost like you have a handicap, like you need to use the HK if you're bad. Not 100%. A lot of great players use the HK because it's so good. It's almost like a cheat code, but I want to put it below AK because I think it requires less skill versus AK requires more skill, which is why I did that. Anyways, let me know your thoughts down below. Where would you guys rank some of these guns? Do you think some of them should be higher, lower? Where do you put them? Because this is my final list. AUG 1, U ratio 2, SG 3, AK 4, HK 5. Very interesting, and I think it's pretty balanced, but I would just love to see what you guys do. Would you put the SA in A class? Would you put the SVD in A class? Would you put M14 lower? You know, what would you guys do with this? I think it's pretty fair the way I did it, and I think I did it pretty good. But yeah, I'd love to see your guys' opinions. Let me know, and if you like this kind of video, like I said, I'll do another one soon. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new, please consider subscribing, drop a like rating, and feel free to leave me a comment down below. See you next time!